Off we go. Here we go.
Okay. And I have hit record. So, honey, we are live. You're live today.
All right. Woo. Hey, everybody. Welcome. We're so excited to have
Yeah.
you here.
Yeah. Looks like there are a lot of people joining us today. So, we've got 100 seats available. We may get up to capacity because people are joining right now by the fives and tens. I can see it jumping. It's amazing. So, hi to Daniel. Hi to Timothy. Hello, Sarah and Tina. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Outstanding. And we would love to know before we get started, where is everybody from? So, if you could put down where you're sitting at right now, whether it be inside the US or outside the US, we'd love to look at that.
I'm in a Barco lounger today. Thank you. No, just kidding.
That's right. I'm in my basement. Yeah. All right. Yeah, please let us know where you're at. And Michelle, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself, and then we can go ahead and get started into the meat of the presentation.
Hey, everybody. My name is Michele Molitor, Nectar Consulting. I'm an executive coach, and I've been working with Tammy and collaborating with Tammy. And we're going to rock out this webinar with you today and give you a whole boatload of information. So I'm just super excited to be here. So here we are, Miss Tammy. Let's go.
Yes. Okay. Before we get into the PowerPoint presentation, I wanted to introduce myself too. I'm Tammy Kabell, CEO of Career Resume Consulting, and we're an executive career firm actually based in the Kansas City area. And Michelle, I know you're in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Absolutely.
And so we wanted to say hey, and today we're going to learn how to get paid what you're worth in 4 easy steps. And it's going to be a fantastic webinar. You're going to drink from the fire hose today, so get ready to take a lot of notes.
In a good way. In a good way, we promise. You'll walk away with a whole lot of information that you can immediately put to use, and is really going to help amplify your career search in a way that you didn't even know you could do. Woo.
That's right. That's right. And we promise to share some super ninja secrets with you that nobody else knows.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get started into the PowerPoint presentation. So give me a minute to transfer into the PowerPoint and bring that up on the screen so everybody can see it. Okay, I think we've got it up. Does everybody see the PowerPoint presentation? It should say how to get paid what you're worth in 4 easy steps. Is everyone seeing that? Let me know in the chat box.
Yes.
All right. And Michelle, you see it as well? Is that right?
I sure do. And you know, folks, we're so happy that you're here with us today because we have so much content to share with you. We're definitely going to keep this to 60 minutes and answer some questions at the end. And so strap yourselves in because we got a lot of great stuff to share with you today.
Yeah, and like we said, it is going to be drinking from the fire hose. We are going to be going very fast, and you'll get a recording of this later so that you can go back and take more notes if you don't capture everything.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so we want to get the best information out to you. So let's get started.
Yes.
All right, so have you ever wondered if you could make $30,000 more with a 10-minute conversation with a decision maker? What would that be like, making $30,000 more?
Yeah, I mean, that is one of the things that we're going to show you exactly how one of our clients achieved that on our call today, so that you can actually have that job and make that much more money that you're looking to make.
That's right. We will tell you step by step how he was able to do that. And also, what would it be like to double or triple your compensation this year?
Well, one of Tammy's clients did just that over a half hour and cup of coffee on a Sunday. And we're going to tell you how he did that to double his salary. Sound good?
That's right. Yeah, sounds awesome. And then have you ever wondered what it would be like to create your own dream job that still leaves you time for your family and work-life balance?
Well, we actually have a real life example that is really going to blow your mind when you hear it. So stay tuned for that. So we've got a ton of great information here for you guys. So let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. So let's introduce first one of our most recent clients. Her name is Paige, and she used the principles that we're going to talk about today to get a job offer within 7 days after receiving her new resume. And actually, she got a job offer that paid her $8,000 more than what she had made in her last position. And then, with a 5-minute conversation, telling the employer exactly what they needed to hear, and we're going to go over the techniques that we helped her use, she was able to increase it another $7,700 to give her a total of nearly $16,000 more than what she had made before. Now, the most interesting part about Paige's story is that after she was doing this after being unemployed for 2 full years before coming to see us.
Wow. And I just love the story. And she was able to create that for herself as a result of using some of the specific negotiating techniques that we're going to teach you today on the call.
That's right. And the reason that we are going to introduce you to some of our clients is because we want to show you what's possible, because this truly is possible for you to do just like they did, and we're going to show you exactly how.
Absolutely.
So here today is what you're going to learn. We're going to learn our 4-step process to finding a job that pays you what you're worth. So the first part is identifying and stepping into your genius zone to create your unique brand proposition. We'll explain what that is, and Michele will actually go into the genius zone because she's got a wonderful tool that she uses in order to identify that. Then we're also going to talk about building your marketing message and using advanced sales psychology when you're in the interviewing process in order to win the job. And then once you have the job offer, we're going to give you specific techniques to negotiate what you're worth. And we're going to give you examples of how our clients have used these techniques to get paid tens of thousands of dollars more than what they were making before. And why do you need to learn all of this? Why is this important? Because it gives you more control in your job search. And the more control you have in your job search, the faster you get
hired. Yes.
That's right.
And isn't that the whole point here? Let's get hired. Now, we promise that what we're about to teach you is going to help you put you back on track and back in the driver's seat of your job search. This will put you in control of the interviewing process. And we promise that this will be the most informative webinar that you've ever listened to about your career search.
That's right. Absolutely.
I mean, these techniques we're about to teach you will change your life for the better. They will help you in your job search and skyrocket your success.
Yeah. So I want to hear in the chat box, and I really want this to be a 100-way conversation, 102-way conversation with you guys. I would love a lot of interaction. I know that both of us are big interaction freaks, and so we want to hear a lot from you during this hour. So are you excited to learn this stuff? So Tim says yes. Dave says absolutely. That's exactly what I wanted to hear. So let's go ahead and get started.
Yes.
Like I said, we want your comments and your questions throughout this presentation. And if we don't get to your questions, because we're not going to have a lot of time because we've got a lot to cover today, and we want to respect your time so that we can get all of this covered within 60 minutes, so you can watch it over a lunch hour or in the evening whenever you can.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
If we don't get to your questions, take down our email addresses right now, so you can email us with your questions, and we'll be happy to get back with you within a day of receiving them with some answers. So you can reach Tammy at beyondjobsearching.com. That's TAMMY at beyondjobsearching.com. And you can also reach me at Michele at nectarconsulting.com. That's Michele, Michele, at Nectar.
One L.
I'm a 1Ler at Nectar, NECTAR consulting.com. So, yeah, write that down and send us your questions if we don't get to them live here on the call.
Okay, great. Let's move forward. So first, I want to introduce you to a different framework, a different way of looking at the job market. I want to explain the current state of the job market and frame it for you in a different way. So I came up with Job Search Baseball a couple of years ago, even before the Kansas City Royals won the World Series. Yay, go Kansas City. But I want to explain that there are nearly 40 million job seekers who are your competition today. So when we've got a 5% or less unemployment rate, that doesn't include everybody who is underemployed, and it doesn't include everybody who is part-time employed that really should be full-time and they're looking for full-time work. And it also doesn't include the 20% of people that the Gallup organization, when they did a recent Gallup poll, said are actively disengaged with their job, which means they're miserable and they're searching for something else. You may be one of those people who are fully employed, but you are actively searching for something else. So let me really quickly take you through the different bases on Job Search Baseball. So we start with the inner game work, and that's where Michele comes in. You've got to really start, before you get the job, with deciding what your expertise is in and being able to articulate that expertise and that genius. And then you use marketing techniques in your resume, your online presence, and in networking in order to get the initial phone call. So keep in mind the resume and even your online presence is only designed to get that first phone call.
Exactly.
That's first base.
Exactly.
And then when you're on that phone call, you use sales psychology to get to second base, which is the face-to-face meeting. And once you're in that face-to-face meeting, you can actually use advanced sales psychology. We're actually going to give you examples of all of these today in order to get the third base job offer, but you don't actually get your butt in a seat until you negotiate a job compensation package that works for both you and the company. And that's what gets you the job. That's what gets you back to home plate.
Exactly.
Yeah. So today we're going to take you above the competition with the information on today's call. And once you learn all of these different techniques, you are not going to experience that black hole syndrome where you apply online all day long and you get no response. And I'm sure you know what I'm talking about if you've been in the job market for any amount of time.
Crickets chirping, chirp, chirp, chirp.
Exactly, exactly. So Michele, talk a little bit about coming up to bat.
Absolutely. So before you can even get in the game, you've got to work on your inner game, and that's your mindset. What's the beliefs that you have about your job search? Can you do this? And if you've got any kind of limiting beliefs that are in there, they're going to be holding you back. So we'll help you with that to reset those inner beliefs and create your personal USP, your unique selling proposition that really speaks to who you are, your natural strengths and abilities, and is coming from what I like to call is your genius zone. But I'll tell you more about that in just a few minutes. But yeah, that all lays the foundation for everything else that Tammy is going to be talking about today.
Right, right. Okay, and I do want to tell you that right now is the very best time in the last 9 years to go after a better job. Now, I've been doing this for 13 years, but I will tell you that I haven't seen this much activity in the last 9 years. I think companies are growing again. I think they're paying well again. This is what I've seen time and time again. And in the last 12 months, over half of our clients have gotten jobs created for them that didn't exist before. So there's really never a better time than right now to be able to get into the job market. And that's the coolest part, is that this stuff that we're going to teach you today is a little known secret that's only known by the top job search performers. And by doing the work, you too will be part of that top 2% of job seekers. So even if you're not currently looking for a job, you can actually use these techniques to change your personal brand and position yourself for more money in your current job. And we'll talk about that a little bit too.
How does that sound, everybody? Yeah.
All right. All right. So since you're going to be spending a little bit of time with us, why don't we tell you a little bit about ourselves? Michele, why don't you start and talk to them about you and where you came from.
Absolutely. So I actually met Tammy a few years ago. We were both at working with a top marketing expert, sharpening our saw, and we met. And you know how you just meet somebody and you just click? Well, that's how it was with Tammy and I. And so we've been
Yeah.
collaborating together ever since, and it's been a blast. And what brought me to my work as a coach was, I used to work in high tech in Silicon Valley at the height of the original dot-com boom back in 2000. And I had reached the height of my career only to figure out that I was really miserable. I was stressed out, working 80 hours a week. And I had this epiphany that I really didn't care about building multi-million-dollar websites anymore. Yeah, whoop, oh, not very good. And the funny thing is, a week later, I got laid off. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So
the universe will do that to you sometimes.
yeah, those epiphanies are really powerful. So I really felt rudderless and lost. Like I had just spent, my whole career getting to this illustrious position only to figure out that, it really wasn't for me. So I went home that day, I got laid off, and I called my mom, and what I found out what I got was a reality check. I found out that a very dear friend was dying. And so I just decided, well, I better put my big girl panties on and figure out what I was going to do next. And I ended up hiring a coach to help me figure out my next steps. And it was the best thing that I could have ever done for myself. It literally changed my life.
Wow.
I fell in love with coaching, and I ended up getting trained and certified up and down and around again, and started my own company, Nectar Consulting, in 2001. So since then, I've probably got over 3,000 hours of personal development and training and certifications under my belt. And I've worked with thousands of people worldwide, helping them tap into their genius zone, finding their sweet spot, and stepping into their authentic voice, their expertise, so they can bring more of their genius to their work and get paid really well to do it. So I feel really, really blessed because I've had the joy of being seen on CNN and Lifehack and The Mogul Mom and different, publications around the globe, and have worked with folks internationally, and I also speak around the nation, and I'm now working on my third book too. So life is good, and I feel really blessed to do this work and to help other people do it, because it's truly my joy.
Excellent, excellent. Well, you're absolutely magnificent at what you do. You're one of the best, one of the best.
Why, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. And Miss Tammy, why don't you tell them about how amazing you are and your expertise too, because you're pretty rock star.
Okay, sure. So I am founder and CEO of Career Resume Consulting, like I said in the beginning of the hour. And here's a picture of me and my family this is when we went back to Sedona, Arizona, where we got married, and we renewed our vows at our 10-year anniversary. So my story is that I actually started at American Century Investments in operations. I was a hiring manager, and I've actually got about 18 years of hiring manager experience, but on my 10-year anniversary, I lost my job. I got laid off. And it was 2 days after the end of my maternity leave. So I didn't really see myself as a stay-at-home mom. I really lost my identity. Not that there's anything wrong with stay-at-home moms. I just didn't see myself as one of those. So I ended up being an unemployed executive, if you will, for 12 months. And really the crash came at Christmas time, when our house was in foreclosure and there were no Christmas presents under the tree. It was a very, very scary time for me and my family. And I felt like I had absolutely no control. So it was actually by chance a couple of weeks later that I got picked up by a recruiter, got a job at an executive career firm. And again, this is by chance. I still wasn't in control of my career. But what I did learn at the executive career firm, it was the largest one in the country at the time, was I learned the power of personal marketing. And that's what I'm going to teach you here today, are some of the basic tenets of personal marketing and what you can do to market yourself. So I started my own career firm in 2008. And since then, I've grown it into a global executive career firm. So we're experts at helping people take control of their careers and be paid what they're worth.
Absolutely.
And just like you, Michele, I've been fortunate enough to be featured as an expert in a lot of really nice publications, Wall Street Journal several times, Bloomberg Business Week, and I've also been on Fox News and NBC News. And I feel very fortunate to be a part of those organizations, to be featured as an expert there. So that is my story, and I'm really excited to bring you some of the best practices that I have discovered along the way. What we do for our clients, and here's what we want to do for you today. We provide you with a plan and a roadmap. And really, it starts with an overhaul of your personal brand, including an assessment of your talent dynamics profile. So Michele's going to talk about how she administers the talent dynamics profile and what that means. We also, for our clients, write all of your materials for you and develop your network branding statement. And later on in the hour, we're going to talk about how you can get this networking branding statement. Another way to think about it is an evolution of the 15-second elevator pitch, how you can get that written for you professionally for free, which is a $300 value. We'll talk about that later. And then we also overhaul your LinkedIn profile and your online presence. So really what we try to do, I mean, our USP is using tried and true marketing and sales techniques and applying them to job searching in a way that I don't think anybody else is doing right now. So like I said before, this is a little known methodology that's used by the top 2% of executive job seekers. And it puts you in control of the perception that people have about you before they meet you, so that you're seen as the expert, which will allow you to get more phone calls, ace more interviews, and get more money when you get the job offers.
Yeah, you know, all of this stuff is going to help you stand more confidently in who you are and what you have to offer. So you understand completely what makes you what? Unique. Yes.
Unique.
It makes your brand stand out from the crowd and puts you in control of the perception that people have about you before they meet you. You see, when you're seen as an expert, this will allow you to garner more connections and have more people answer that resume, and you'll have more interviews, etc. So that's the whole idea.
Okay, and it all starts with the talent dynamics profile. So Michele, why don't you talk a little bit about what that talent dynamics profile is, what it is, and what it means to everyone?
Sure. So the talent dynamics profile is an assessment profile that I use with all my clients. It was created by a gentleman named Roger Hamilton, and I like to say he built a more holistic mousetrap. So if if Myers-Briggs married the I Ching, this would be their baby. It's a more
That's awesome.
It's a more comprehensive, multidimensional personality assessment, but it can also be used for teams and for whole organizations to operate more effectively and more synergistically. It really helps build greater trust and collaboration and increase the value of every individual on the team and that of the organization and what they have to offer their clients. So this profile is broken down into several different pieces. So at a high level, it registers 4 frequencies or energies, and those things are what are measured, and those are determine what profile you are. So you'll see on the screen there's 8 different profiles, and then the 4 energies are similar to the seasons based on the I Ching. There's dynamo energy, blaze energy, tempo, and steel, and that probably won't make a whole lot of sense right now, But when we talk further, when we have a one-on-one, I would explain that to you fully so you understand what those different percentages mean and how your profile impacts your career search, because it helps you identify what are your natural sweet spots, your genius zone, where you operate most effectively with greatest ease. It's about being in flow. So think about being in a river. You don't want to be swimming uphill, upstream. You want to be going with the flow, right? So that's how this profile can really help you. So let me give you a quick example to illustrate. This is a story of Dan, someone that I worked with. And he was fired because his job role had shifted too far outside of his sweet spot. He was an engineer who had moved into product management and really loved his work and was doing a great job. But then the company got bought and went from publicly held to privately held. And his boss said, "Hey, you're so good at this, Dan. We want you to do more of creating new products." Well, over a period of time, over about a year, his work product started to diminish because it was too far outside of his comfort zone, outside of his sweet spot of what he was naturally talented in doing. And he ended up, getting fired because his job performance kept going down and down and down. And so when he came to me, he was really had his head in his hands and like, wow, I feel really bad. I don't know what I'm good at anymore. And so by taking the talent dynamics profile, we were able to see that, oh no, he's really good at what he does, but the job that he was being asked to do towards the end at that company was just too far outside of his zone. So if you look, he was a Lord profile, and his job was asking him to do stuff that was more over here across the way in the star profile. And so one is more introverted, one is more extroverted, and it was just way too uncomfortable for him. So utilizing this tool in helping him move forward helped him reposition himself based on his real strengths and talents and his leadership style. And now he has a new job that he loves, and he's actually making a lot more money. So it's a really powerful tool for folks.
Good. And when you take the Talent Dynamics Profile Assessment with Michele, she actually does a 1-hour interpretation of the results, which actually, what I found when I took it, it laser focuses your sweet spot in your career search. And it makes it more like a laser beam instead of a shotgun approach. So we're going to tell you about this more toward the end of the presentation and how you can get the Talent Dynamics Profile to help you find your genius zone. And we've got an extremely special offer for you. So stay tuned on that. But why don't you Michele, why don't you tell them a little bit more about that genius zone and why that's so important in a job search?
Absolutely. So in the 15 years that I've been a coach, what I found is when your values are out of alignment with your work, that's where the stress and the tension and the dis-ease shows up. And so when you incorporate your core values, your purpose, your passions, and your talents, that's the genius zone that I'm pointing to. Now, what I found though is oftentimes we have that little voice in our head. Does anybody have one of those? That I'm not good enough voice, or I don't know enough, or they wouldn't possibly hire me for that position. Can you guys relate to that? Yeah. So type in the chat box some of the internal conversations you might be having with yourself as you've been going through your job search. Yeah. So, okay. So Tiffany, she says, I'm afraid if I shoot too high, I'll fail. Well, yeah, that's a normal reaction. And that's part of that inner game roadmap that we're going to take you through to help overcome those limiting beliefs inside your mind. Now, what that is it's actually part of your ancient reptilian brain, the amygdala, which is responsible for your fight or flight or freeze mechanism. I like to call her Amy, the amygdala. She's a little lizard lady. And so as we help you find your distinctive edge, your unique selling proposition, or your USP, we'll help you determine what your genius zone is, that place of knowing that place where you know your value fully that you bring to the table. And what this translates to is having greater confidence, which then translates into better job offers and greater
Yeah.
compensation packages, because you are asking for what you deserve and not letting your fears drive your job search and your interview process.
You know, I can tell you from experience that almost every person that we've worked with at CRC if they've been in the job search for any amount of time, have been applying for jobs that were way beneath their skill sets or their genius zone. And that was really one of the many things that we helped them shift, because it seems like as you get further in your job search, you become more desperate and you start applying for things lower and lower and lower in the skill sets. And then you find you're applying for things that you really wouldn't be good at anyway, because you're so far above that.
Mm-hmm. So type in the chat box, how much more would you like to be earning by overcoming your limiting beliefs? Is it 30,000? Is it 50,000? Heck, is it 150,000? Making that much more in your next position? Just let us know.
Yeah. Wow. We've got some good answers there. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you can take the talent dynamics test yourself. Why don't you tell them a little bit about that, Michele?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of the call, we're going to share with you a link so you can get a hold of that for yourself if you're interested. And what it includes is a 60-minute phone interpretation with myself and Tammy to help you really look at the information and how to best apply it to your career search so that you are really operating from your genius zone and speaking from your genius zone. You're going to learn more about your natural strengths and your challenges and the best environments and the best roles for your next job. It's also going to help you gain clarity on that USP so that you can clearly articulate your expertise.
And that's priceless. That is huge.
Yeah.
I mean, almost no one can articulate what their expertise is or stand in their expertise, and that's really what it allows you to do.
Yeah, because oftentimes our expertise is so inherent to us, we take it for granted, or we even poo-poo it because we think, well, everybody can do that, but that's not the case. So this really bubbles up to the surface so you can see it clearly what those unique strengths and talents are, and then use that to toot your own horn in various ways, shapes, and forms in your career search process.
Yeah.
So now when you take the talent dynamics test, you're going to get a detailed report, and you're also going to get a one-on-one call over phone or Skype with me. And regularly, this is a $300 value, but at the end of the call, we're going to tell you how you can get it at a superb discount.
That's right. And actually, you can find the talent dynamics test on the internet for around $100, but that doesn't include Michele's personal analysis, which actually customizes the information to your career and your job search. And really, that's what Michele's an expert at. And like she said toward the end of the call, we're going to talk about a very steep discount to get that talent dynamics profile, which does include her analysis. So how does that sound? Are you guys getting all this? Can we move forward on giving you some more information?
Yes, let's do it.
So we're going to start by getting to first base. So something that I've found is that in order to get to first base, which is that all-important first phone call, probably the most important thing to know is that a one-page skills-based or functional resume outperforms a chronological resume. So if you're used to using a chronological resume, which is what 98% of the people do out there, try a one-page skills-based resume. You can find examples on our website, careerresumeconsulting.com, and a one-page skills-based resume does outperform a chronological. And I think it's because it's novel. It looks different, but it also is able to really explain your expertise and tell your story. But I will tell you, one of our secret weapons is in that resume delivery. So we help you find the right companies to send them to, and that's going to be based on what industry you're looking at, what size company you're looking at, and what geographic location you're looking at. And then we give you hand-researched leads that meet those criteria each week. And you send a hard copy of that resume with a handwritten note, believe it or not. And that will get you a better response because you're sending it to the person that would be your boss and not to human resources. And yes, this is whether or not you know they have something available or something posted on their website. You don't know because 80% of six-figure jobs are not posted publicly at all. So what you're trying to do is create yourself or position yourself as an investment and not just a candidate. And that's why a majority of our clients last year got jobs created for them that did not exist before. So also strategic networking with the right message. And like I said, that intro, that 15-second elevator pitch is really key to setting you apart. And that's something that we're going to be able to do for you. And we'll tell you a little bit about that at the end of the call. But strategic networking means talking to people who know a lot of professional people and not just going randomly to different networking events, passing out your business card.
Right. It's all about, think of it as a targeted marketing exercise.
Yeah, exactly. So something else that you need to have these days, this is absolutely key, robust LinkedIn profile. So if you don't have a LinkedIn profile, you need to create one. It's free, but you need to stuff it really full of keywords and phrases that employers are using to look for someone like you. And that's one of the things that we do with our clients is to create that robust LinkedIn profile. However, you can do that yourself as well, but we teach you how to master LinkedIn as a marketing tool as well. Think of LinkedIn as pull marketing. You're actually attracting people to call you rather than just sending your resume out to companies that you would want to work for. And then one last thing to note about getting to first base, all of your messaging, whether it be online, on your written materials, or in your networking, all of the messaging needs to be consistent. That's marketing 101. You've got to have a consistent message so that everyone thinks of you as the XYZ person, right? You have to think about the business problems you solve, your expertise, and people think of you as the expert in whatever it is that you're an expert in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So now let's talk about selling yourself onto second base. So let's assume you get the first phone call. What you're wanting to do is consider yourself a consultative salesperson, even if you're not in sales.
Yep.
You've got to consider yourself a consultative salesperson where you are the product or service, but you're also the person selling the product or service. So when you're on the phone call, you've got to sell yourself to to second base, which is the face-to-face interview. So you have to have specific, compelling stories ready for the phone interview. And those stories need to have quantifiable achievements in them because people are attracted to numbers. If you've ever sat in a room with someone when they're interviewing you and you tell a story, if you've got a quantifiable achievement, those numbers are what they actually write down because that's what they remember. So people are drawn to numbers. The more numbers you have, the better off you're going to be in those stories. And they also, employers want to know what you've done above and beyond just showing up for work every day. They want to know your accomplishments. How have you affected the bottom line in the companies that you've worked for?
Mm-hmm. And that bottom line can look a lot of different ways. And so sharing those stories of those accomplishments and the impact that you've had in that organization is going to be key.
Right. Right. And if you are in a type of position that doesn't have quantifiable achievements, at least show what contributions you made, again, above and beyond just showing up for work every day. So how did you improve processes? How did you do things differently? How did you set yourself apart? And also on the phone, don't save your best stories for last. So I want you to, on the phone, I want you to know ahead of time the 3 or 4 best stories that you want to make sure you tell in that phone interview, because you don't know how long the phone interview is going to last. It may be 15 minutes, it may be 30 minutes, but they may have something going on, 20 minutes after they call you. So don't save your best stories for last. And something else, now here's where you really need to take notes if you haven't been so far. I want you to ask intelligent questions to get to 4 particular pieces of information. The first one is their pain points, which are their challenges. What are your biggest challenges? What are the biggest challenges facing this position in the next 6 or 12 months? What are the biggest challenges facing this department or this company in the next 6 to 12 months? So
Yes.
they're pain points. You have to sell yourself to be relevant to those pain points.
Right, because
Second,
everybody buys from either a perspective of pain or pleasure. So when you
That's right.
understand their pain points, then you can more easily apply your skill sets to help solve those problems.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, the stats say 60% of people buy to alleviate pain, 40% buy to get to some aspiration.
Mhm.
So you either need to appeal to their pain points or their aspirations or both. So the second one is aspirations. So in addition to pain points, where do they want to be in 1 to 3 years? Where do they want the company to be? Where do they want the department to be in 1 to 3 years? And what are the big initiatives that are going on this year, if they have any? What are the key initiatives that are going on, so that you understand where they want to be, so that you can make yourself relevant to that bridge that will take them there, right? You want to be the answer to their problems and the bridge that will take them to where they want to be. And then the third piece of information you want to get is their immediate needs. In other words, you can ask, if you were to change one thing about this company today, what would it be? Or if you were to change one thing about this department today, what would it be? And then, and you want to make yourself relevant to their immediate needs, so that they want to hire you yesterday and not 2 to 3 months from now.
Yes,
Because
exactly.
you've got to be relevant to what they're going through right now. And then finally, what are their long-term growth goals? Now, that may sound like the same thing as their aspirations, but maybe their aspirations are just to tread water because they have been growing and now they've got growing pains that they need to take care of. And so it's really important that you get to their long-term growth goals. Where do they see their growth in 3 to 5 years?
Yes.
Okay. And then the final piece of information is, and this is probably the most important piece of advice in the phone interview, is to ask for the sale, with the sale being the face-to-face meeting.
Yes.
So if you've ever heard anything about sales, it's always, you got to ask for the sale. You've got to ask for the sale. So you've got to ask for that face-to-face meeting. And when you're talking to a decision maker, the way that you do that is you say, after talking with you in this last half hour, I'm even more excited about the opportunity of working with you than I was before the call. Is there time sometime next week that we can get together in your office to talk about your needs in more detail? Wednesday and Friday are the best days for me. So it just very softly, if you will, just ask for the sale, ask for that face-to-face meeting. And what my clients find is, if they ask, they are more likely to get it. More often than not, they get that face-to-face meeting.
Yes, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, folks. You got to ask for what you want. You can't be timid, because there's 10 other people behind you wanting the same job that you're applying for. So
hundreds
ask.
sometimes.
Yes.
There's hundreds. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's talk about another guy that you're going to really love. Now, Bob got an offer for a chief operations officer job within 6 days of getting the initial phone call from a business owner. And it's all because he made himself relevant to what that business owner was going through. On his resume, he was an operational turnaround specialist or an operational turnaround expert, even though he had never been a COO before, he'd been a consultant. But when he sent a hard copy resume to this business owner who had been hemorrhaging money for the past year, the business owner immediately called him. And from that initial phone call, he literally got a position within 6 days because he said, come down, talk with me face to face. I really want to learn more about what you can do for my company. And he saw Bob as the expert and the answer to his problems.
His prayers.
And in the negotiation section of this webinar, which is coming up very soon, we're going to talk about how he was able to increase his base salary by $30,000 with a 10-minute phone call, which is awesome.
It's a super ninja technique.
That's one of those super ninja secrets that we were talking about.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, great. So now let's talk about using advanced sales psychology in the face-to-face meeting. And Michelle's going to go through what is known as the spin sales technique.
That's right. The spin sales technique has been used in hundreds of thousands of companies and corporations around the world, and it's proven. It's based on a ton of research. And SPIN stands for situation, problem, implication, and need. That was situation, problem, implication, and need. So let me tell you about what those mean and why you want to be using this when you have that face-to-face meeting. So the situation is, what's the 411? You want to get the facts of the company you're interviewing with before the interview. Find out as much as you can. Do your homework. Find out what's happening with them in the marketplace, what new initiatives that may be going on. Anything you can is going to be really, really helpful, because then in that interview, you can find out, okay, well, what are the problems? What are the difficulties, the challenges of their current situation?
And you can assume some of those problems in looking at the research. Can I give just a little bit of information, kind of pull back the curtain a little bit on what we teach our clients to do?
Yeah.
So you would want to go through 5 to 6 pages of Google on Google Chrome. Believe it or not, Google Chrome as a browser gives you better results than just using google.com on Internet Explorer or Firefox. So using Google Chrome and looking back 5 to 6 pages is really key. Also looking at your local business journal and doing a search on your local business journal for that company to find out news stories about that company. And then finally, looking at YouTube to see if there are any maybe videos that have been put out by some of their leadership team or from the company themselves to find out more about. It's something that nobody else does, looking on YouTube for the videos.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to kind of share that.
Yeah, no, those are really great points, because all of this helps you uncover their implied needs, right? What do they think that their problems are? What do they think that they need? So then you want to then figure out the implication. What is it costing you to not solve this problem, Mr. Hiring Manager? What are the consequences? What's the impact of maintaining the status quo? Because these will help you uncover the other issues that they might not even realize that they have and that they need your expertise to solve. See, by doing this, you're already setting yourself apart from the crowd, because you're asking them and digging deeper into finding more about what those other problems are that you can help them solve. So then the last thing is need. What's the value? What's the importance or the usefulness of having a solution? This is what gets the hiring manager to tell you the benefits of the solution, i.e. why they should hire you. So then they're actually selling themselves on why they should hire you. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So as you're doing this too, you want to remember that you want to position yourself through these effective questions, through active listening skills to find out more about what these pain points are of the hiring company, and then position yourself as the unique solution for those issues or those pain points, you know, through your
Yes.
stories and sharing your accomplishments with them.
Right. And you know what? Listening really is key. The more you listen, the more wonderful they'll think you are, believe it or not. I've had so many clients tell me, you know, I only did 20% of the talking. I asked most of the questions. They did 80% of the talking, and I got the job offer. And it's usually very fast. It doesn't have to, when you're using these kind of techniques to get a job, it runs much faster than the normal hiring process. And you literally can get a job offer within a week or two of a first contact. It's really amazing.
Mm-hmm.
One more thing I want to mention on this in this advanced sales psychology is that there are two key elements. You have to be relevant to their problems and their aspirations, and you have to be likable.
Yes.
So relevancy and likability are really, really key.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And so when you're having this conversation with them, this is one of those ninja techniques that we were promising that you can use with them, because you can ask them questions like, can you see how my expertise and experience could benefit your organization? And
Yes.
get them to say yes. You see, as you ask these kind of questions, you want to get a lot of little small agreements in the conversation that add up to one big agreement in the end, one big yes. I like to call that a yes-ortunity, you know? So you want to get to the yes-ortunity, and this is what we call asking questions in this way is a technique called NLP, or neuro-linguistic programming. And it's a particular way to ask questions that present yourself in a positive light that creates more buy-in and emotional resonance with the person who is hiring you. This is super important, right, Tammy?
Yeah. Well, actually, I just got my master's. I don't even know if you know this, Michelle. I just finished getting my master's practitioner certification in NLP. And NLP is derived from hypnosis, and it's really conversational hypnosis. And what it allows you to do is get your way with the other person thinking that it's their idea all along, even though you're the one that's actually creating the situation. So again, the likability and the relevance of what you bring to the table create the been there, done that feeling. And that NLP, those NLP techniques allow you to control the conversation so that you are becoming the interviewer instead of the interviewee, and you've got more control over the conversation.
Yes, which is very, very key.
Yeah, yeah. So now let's get to some of the juiciest pieces of information that we want to offer you. And
That's
this
right.
is third base. Once you've gotten the offer, how do you negotiate? So you want to negotiate based on what the hiring manager needs to hear in order to justify an increase. So I told you that I was going to tell you how Bob got $30,000 more in just a 10-minute conversation. He actually, he was told by the hiring manager, who was the owner of the company, he said, I can only pay you $120,000 base because my CFO, who makes $120,000, has been with me since 1998, and I can't pay you more than him because he's been with me forever. And so I told Bob, I said, Bob, the owner, let's call him Tom, needs to be able to tell the CFO a reason why the COO needs to be making more money. So you as the expert can go in and say, well, Tom, actually COOs usually make more than CFOs because their decisions affect the bottom line of the company more directly than CFOs do. And that's why COOs generally make more than CFOs. And you didn't use an executive hiring firm like a recruiter to find me, and therefore it's generally accepted that you give the person coming on board a hiring bonus if you didn't use a recruiting firm. Mm-hmm. So, usually that's in the range of $50,000 to $80,000, but I would be very happy to take $30,000 as a one-time signing bonus. And then maybe we could possibly look at adding that to the annual compensation if I meet some key performance indicators. Does that sound all right? And Tom said, well, I don't have $30,000 in the bank to give you as a signing bonus, so can I just add it to your annual compensation now? And
Sure,
Bob
that'd be
said,
great.
sure, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that.
That'll do just fine. Thank you.
Exactly, exactly. And then something else to note, don't be the first one to give a number. And this can be a little tricky, especially when you're working with recruiters and they are told you've got to get a number. So here are some of the things that you can say when someone asks you, what are your salary requirements? So when they say, what are your salary requirements, really what they want to know is, what is it going to take to pay your bills? And that's not a fair question. Really, what you need to answer is, what is the market paying for the skills needed for this position and the job responsibility, the scope of responsibilities for this position? So you throw it back on them. First, you say, well, I don't know enough about this position to really tell you what I could expect to make in this position. And then they might say, well, what are you making in your current position or in your last position? Then you use the apples to oranges comparison and you say, well, what I made in my last position and what I would expect to make in this position are really two different things, and apples to oranges. And so, I don't know that that's really relevant. And then ask them, does the employer have a certain range that they want to pay? In other words, have them give the number.
Yes.
Because the first person to give a number in negotiation loses, because they set the bar. So you want them to be able to give you the number. And you can also say, at this point in my career, really fit is the most important thing to me. And I'm sure we can come to an agreement on compensation if we both feel that I'm the right one for the position. Something else, too, is wait until you get an offer to negotiate.
Very important.
Yes, do not start negotiating before you have the leverage of being the one that they want to solve their problems. And it's just a matter of what is it going to take to get you. So you want to have that leverage first before you start negotiating.
Mm-hmm.
And then finally, and this is really important, give a very specific number. So this is what Paige did at the beginning of our hour when we talked about Paige. She asked for $7,700. So that was actually a pretty big increase from $70,000. She was in a quality analyst position, and they offered her 70, and she said, I'm really excited about taking the position. I do want to move forward with this and accept the position. There's just one thing that we need to talk about in compensation, and that's the base salary. I was up last night crunching the numbers until really late at night, and in working out the numbers, I'm unfortunately going to have to ask for $7,700. In other words, it sounds like she's asking for the very minimum that she needs to make this work. So then you say, $7,700 is really what I need in order to make this work. Can we work together to possibly get to that number together? In other words, you're working with them and not against them. This is not a poker game.
Yes.
And you're on the same team, and that way you're not creating any enemies if they can't get that number for you. But they're going to really try to get that number because you are the answer to their problems.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So let's give one final example about Amy. This is an amazing example. And now I do want to explain this example. Amy is an outlier. Not everyone that comes to us gets the results that Amy gets. But I want to show you what's really out there for you if you're ready to step outside your comfort zone.
Yes.
So Amy was a VP of IT for an industry-leading bank. So she was making 135 base with a $50,000 bonus. So 185,000 total compensation after working 17 years for a large bank. She considered herself an IT person. But when she and I started working together, we realized that her main job responsibilities were sales. She was a business development person, not an IT person. It just happened to be that the widget that she was selling was IT. So she sold IT services within the bank. And once she realized that, I asked her, can you go out to some of the major technology companies like Microsoft and IBM, find someone in that target market that is willing to be a mentor for you. So she picked up the phone and she called somebody in Microsoft that she did not know, who was a VP of IT, and she introduced herself. She did an informational interview, which is finding out more about what they do. And she said, would you be willing, after about a 20-minute conversation, she said, would you be willing to be my mentor and maybe spend 1 hour a month with me, telling me how you go about sales and being successful in sales in technology? Because, of course, she comes from technology. Well, Amy's so endearing, and she really created an impression, and she really created that relevancy that we talked about.
Yep.
So, yes, the VP literally said within 2 weeks of working with her, she said, I want you on my team. We're going to create a position for you. Now, in Microsoft, it's a little bit more complicated to get a position created, but literally, she got a position created in the Kansas City area where Microsoft has no presence, and she got it created specifically for her. And believe it or not, within 3 quarters, she called me and she said, Tammy, I wanted to let you know, me and my husband were looking at our numbers for our first year, and I'm projected to come in at $750,000 my first year here at Microsoft. And in under a year, she got promoted to regional sales director. She now makes over $1 million a year, and that's from making $185,000. When she called me and she told me that she was ready to make $750,000 in her, in the first year, I said, Amy, you absolutely made my month by telling me this. This is just the most wonderful news. And she said, Tammy, you made my entire life. I mean, this has completely changed me and my family's life forever.
I just love that story. I just absolutely love the story. And that's the thing, everybody. I really want you to know this can happen for you too. If you're willing to step outside of your comfort zone, to pick up the phone and call somebody you don't know, make that cold call. So here's the question to ask yourself. Are you willing to step outside of your comfort zone to have more of what you really want and deserve? Combine that with effectively promoting yourself. You too can create amazing opportunities like this. So just imagine, what difference would that make in your life if you doubled or tripled or quadrupled your income like Amy did?
Yeah.
What would it look like? What would it feel like? What would it smell like when you're loving your work?
Well, and she loves what she's doing. She's absolutely in her genius zone. She absolutely loves everything that she does.
Absolutely. So this is what's possible. It's not a pipe dream. Does this happen for everybody? No, but it can happen for you depending on how far you want to stretch.
Yeah.
And those are the things that we can really help you with.
Exactly. So we do have an offer of our own, and I want to know, what if you could have all of this done for you? So the first thing we want to ask offer you is, for everybody who's listening today, the Talent Dynamics profile, including the 1 hour assessment with Michele and myself, is only $97. And you cannot find that anywhere else, especially with Michelle's talent of being able to take that assessment and make it specific to your career search and what you're looking to do. So click to the right. We've got a link there if you want to take the Talent Dynamics profile. I do want to let you know, if you're interested in working with Career Resume Consulting and my team, we actually do the Talent Dynamics profile as part of your services.
Yes.
So if you want to schedule a free consultation, initial consultation, just look at the link to the right, and you can schedule a free consultation with one of my coaches. I can actually have my head coach, Clay, give you a call very soon to schedule a free initial consultation. And you can choose if you want to do just the talent dynamics profile or if you want us to help you with your career search.
Yep.
And to actually give you incentive to take action, I want to give a bonus to everyone who's listening today. If you take action to schedule a free initial consultation, what I want to give you is the ultimate keyword toolbox. Now, what that has, remember I talked about earlier stuffing your, not only your resume, but your LinkedIn profile with the right keywords and phrases that employers are using to find you and recruiters are using to find you. This ultimate keyword toolbox has over 200 keywords that employers and recruiters are using this year to find you. So this is industry neutral, so it does not matter what industry you come from. You can use these, and anybody who signs up for the free initial consultation gets that bonus. And then I also want to reward fast action, because people who take fast action get jobs quicker. I've seen it over and over again.
It's the truth.
It is. So for the first 5 people that sign up for the initial consultation, I want to be able to offer you your own audio business card, which is that elevator pitch that I talked about. It's really an evolution of the elevator pitch. It's usually $300 also, and we'll do that for you for free. So I will have my chief executive coach, Clay Schnitker, call you, and we will create that audio business card for you for free. Okay?
Awesome.
Yes!
And who doesn't love free? Come on now. It's all good.
Exactly.
So the real question here is finding your ideal job and making more money worth your time? See, because we just want you to be successful and be happy and making more money. So if that is worth your time, then, feel free to click on the right and sign up to get a consultation with Tammy and Clay. Or if you just want to take the Talent Dynamics profile, that's all you're interested in this moment, then you can click on the other button and we'll get that set up with that as well.
Right. Does that sound good?
Yes.
All right. And just so that you know, everything that we do is always backed by 100% money back guarantee. And that's with anything that CRC does or anything that Michele does. We always have a money back guarantee because we satisfy every single client that's out there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we want to respect your time. We're a little bit over the 60 minutes that we promised. And we've had a lot of questions come through. So if you want to stay for the questions, we'd like to answer a few of the questions that are out there. And if you have to leave, we totally understand. We get it. We would love to talk with you in the initial consultation, or Michele would love to talk with you about the Talent Dynamics test. If you have any questions about either one of them, we've got our email address up on the screen right now. And also, if we don't get to your question, email your question to us either at tammy@beyondjobsearching.com or michele@nectarconsulting.com.
Yep.
And we also have free resources at both of our websites, careerresumeconsulting.com and nectarconsulting.com.
That's right.
Let's take a look at some of the questions. So I see one that's Stanley wrote, how do you do this job searching when you work 60 hours a week? It's a really, really good question. So we work with a lot of very busy executives. And what I've found is that you really need about 6 hours of dedicated time a week. And if you can spend 6 hours a week, you really need to know how to do the right things in the right way, in the right order. Mm-hmm. Plus, and this is the big one, you've got to be committed to the process and do at least 6 hours every week. This has got to be your number one priority if you want to find something quickly.
Yes.
And your activity needs to be consistent. And that's why when we work with our clients until they get their next position, we hold you accountable on a weekly basis. when you work with us.
And that is priceless, folks. Let me tell you. You know, you work a little harder when you've got someone holding the fire under your butt, don't you? Yeah, I know you do. So
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Tammy and her team are amazing at doing that, and they really walk with you through the process until you get to that goal. It's really awesome.
Thank you. Do you want to answer a question, Michele?
Yeah, sure. So let's see. We have one here from Bill that says, "How does the talent dynamics test work with a resume?" And that's a terrific question, Bill. You see, once we get your talent dynamics results back, it helps us really understand what those expertise places are for you, that sweet spot, that genius zone. And then we take that information, which is chock full of keywords and phrases, and we weave that into your resume. We do that. Tammy's team does that actually, and it really helps amp up your resume and highlight those unique aspects of your expertise with folks. So it really helps your resume take a quantum leap to a whole new level, and how it defines who you are and the expertise that you have to offer.
Well, it really comes down to personal branding, because personal branding is being in control of the perception that people have about you. And when you take the talent dynamics test, you can more easily use the words that they use in that report to put into your resume. It makes building your resume much easier.
Yes.
And it also helps tell your story. I know when I took the test, it really first confirmed that I was in the right job. I'm a star, and so it confirmed, yes, I'm a star and I should be out in front, helping people. But it really also helped me in giving suggestions on how to work in the areas that I'm weak in, because there are some things that I don't do well. I hate to say it, but it's true. I'm not perfect.
It's all right. You're amazing in so many ways.
Thank you. But really, it's how to work in situations that I'm not naturally comfortable in. And that was, to me, priceless. I really, really enjoyed that.
Yes. So great. We've got time.
You want to do one more question?
Yeah, let's just do one more.
Okay. So this is actually more of a comment. Julia says, "I'm on a limited budget right now, and I'm not sure I can afford it." And I'm not sure, Julia, if you're talking about the talent dynamics test or the personal branding that we do. I will tell you, though, when you talk about affording it, you have to consider your opportunity cost.
Yes.
And what that means is, what is it costing you every day and every month that you're not employed at the level that you're supposed to be? So again, how many lattes is $385 a day going to buy you? And if you're out $8,000 a month, the question is, how many more months are you going to continue to do the same thing that you always done and expect a different result? And what do we know that as the definition of?
The definition of insanity, folks.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's right.
So, and if you want questions answered, here's our email addresses again. Click either or both of the links to the right. Claim your free consultation and all of the bonuses. Or if you want to take the Talent Dynamics profile test, then go ahead and click that one. If you want to talk with either one of us, just email us. We would be very happy to talk with you.
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to add, Michele?
This has been really great. I hope you guys have gotten some really valuable ahas and nuggets of information that you've taken away from the presentation. If you have and you want to share them with us, we would love to know. You can just type them into the chat box there, and we will get in contact with you if you have any other questions that we haven't answered here today.
Yeah, great. Okay. Hey, I look forward to talking with everybody further if they want to. Michele, thank you so much for participating.
Yes.
I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Miss Tammy. It's been a delight collaborating with you on this, and I know that this information is going out into the world and helping so many people. So we wish you all a fantastic day. Thanks for joining us, and we look forward to hear about and celebrating your successes.
Yeah. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.